I know this is a crazy one to say because you're probably looking at a top 3 or 4 MVP candidate who has been like stupidly efficient. Who has been stupidly efficient. But big but here. Um I've watched enough Aces games and I don't feel like Aja Wilson is impacting the game like she normally does. Her stats have been fantastic. She is shooting the shit out of the ball from three. Like it feels like every time she shoots the three it goes in. But from two, like I've been disappointed with her shooting from two. Like she seems to have abandoned going to the basket in favor of being an exclusively turnaround jump shooter, which she's not bad at. But like, I don't think anyone can guard Aja Wilson downhill going left. And she doesn't do it much anymore. Her rebounds, is this a career low rebounds for her right now? Since her second year in the league, it's a low in rebounds, down 3 on last year. Her blocks per game are down. She doesn't take any assignments anymore. Like, I'm sorry, like, she doesn't take any assignments anymore. We saw yesterday, she was guarding like Alicia Clark. She wouldn't take the Jess Shepard assignment because she just wants to roam. And again, I'm not saying Aja Wilson's playing bad, but you hold MVP candidates to a different standard. Like with Caitlin Clark yesterday. Like she's held to a different standard because she's expected to be an MVP. And I thought she was very poor. Like I thought she was really poor yesterday. Aja. I thought Aja was equally as poor for Vegas as Caitlin Clark was for Indiana. And Vegas blew a lead and it just didn't seem like she was it didn't seem like she had it in her. Like with the ironically with the Wings, it looked like it was AZ Fudd. It looked like the two players that were just going to win that game yesterday were AZ Fudd and Jess Shepard. But like I've watched a little bit of a good few of the Aces games, and I'm like, late in the game, it doesn't feel like Aja Wilson's going to take over. Like I know she had 24 and 15. It didn't feel like she was going to take over against the Sparks. It didn't feel like she was going to take over against the Dream. Like, not only did it not feel like she was going to take over, she was terrible in the stretch against the Dream. She was terrible. She doesn't seem to get that many easy buckets anymore. And I'm not saying, again, that Aja Wilson's not going to win the MVP. I'm not saying that I don't think she's the best player in the world. I'm just saying that she's not playing up to the standard that Aja Wilson has set for herself. Like, I think we can be real here. She is like there is a standard that Aja Wilson sets for herself, that like you kind of hope that she's gonna be. Like she is supposed to be the best player in the world, but a lot of times she hasn't looked like it, and. It like Jackie Young's not the same. Kennedy Carter's been the best player this year for the Aces. And again, that's not a knock on Aja Wilson. I think Kennedy Carter's been unbelievable. But like their best player has been Kennedy Carter. Like he's actually been a bench player, has been the best player on this team. And has she been the second best player? Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Has she been a top 5 player in the league? Yes, obviously. Like, we're not going to go that far, and we're not going to go into disrespecting Aja to say that she's been bad. But by the standards of that Aja has set, which is anything less than the greatest of all time, is seen as a disappointment. Like, that is it. That is basically it when it comes to Aja Wilson. She is expected to be night in, night out, the best player in the world. That is a standard that Aja Wilson has set for herself, and it's a bar that she's not going to necessarily be able to stop. And is it unfair to expect someone to be the best player in the world every single night? No. So is it fair? No. That's the way it is. Like, Shea gets slander when he has a bad playoff game. Wemby gets slander. Luka Doncic, if he doesn't give you 40 points, gets slander. Caitlin Clark gets slander. Heck, fuck it, Kelsey Mitchell gets more slander. Angel Reese gets more slander than Angel Wilson. And I think it should be safe to say, like, this is a team that's, what are they on the year? Are they 4-3? Like, I think they're 4-3 on the year. And they've underperformed. Like, this isn't like 4-3 where the Indiana Fever aren't coming off a championship win out of Kennedy Carter. Like, this is a team who are the 7th seed right now through a non-insignificant amount of games in the Aces. And you have potentially 2 of the top 5 players in the world. And like, you're coming up against the Valks, no Kelsey Bone Sparks, but the Valks, your next game. The Valks are a tough matchup. Like, Kia Stokes a really tough matchup for Aja. And like, Aja's, like, I've seen like early all defensive teams. And I've seen people put Aja Wilson as the decoy early. Based on what? Based on what? She doesn't guard anybody and roams around the basket. Like, Aja Wilson last year was leading the Aces in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks at this point last year. Even at 14-14, she was leading the Aces in every single statistical category. Like, she's not even beating Nalissa in rebounds, is she? Am I right in saying that Nalissa Smith is averaging more rebounds than Aja Wilson? No. There is a 0.1 difference. Nalissa Smith 7, Aja 7.1. So a 0.1 difference in rebounds between her and Nalissa. And yeah, I get it. Maybe she has to work a little bit from the outside because Nalissa's more of an inside player. But like, she was able to cook with Kia Stokes. She won MVP with Kia Stokes on the floor with her. It's been a disappointing season by her all-time great standards. And I think we have to at least talk about it because Aja Wilson can have bad performances. She can have bad weeks. She can go through mini slumps. And nobody will say anything because people don't watch the Aces play basketball. But she's been fine to start the year. She's been fine. She was fantastic in one game against the Sun. And it's one of those things where if the Aces are the 1 seed, she's probably just going to be MVP by default. Because I've always said this, like, if you are going to beat Aja Wilson for MVP, it needs to be almost unanimous. Because let's be real. There was a season where a player led her team, where the decoy led a team that was expected to be the 9th seed coming into the year, while averaging 20 points, or to the 2nd seed, 1 game off the 1st seed, averaging nearly 50, 40, 90, 20 and 9 on nearly 50, 40, 90 shooting, and beat the Aces all 4 times, while completely destroying Aja Wilson every time, and blowing out the Aces 2 of the 4 times, while the Aces were the 5th seed most of the year. She didn't get a vote for MVP. Last year, Fee was on a team who won 34 games, shot 50, 40, 90, and again, beat the Aces 3 out of 4 times, one of which being by 53 points. Didn't win the MVP and wasn't even close to winning the MVP, by the way. Wasn't even close. In what should have been a super tight 2024 race, Aja won unanimously. In what should have been arguably a super tight race in favor of Fee, Aja wins in a near unanimous vote. So to beat Aja Wilson MVP, you need to be so far ahead. And nobody is so far ahead. Like Kelsey Plum's currently injured. Paige Bueckers, no. Like Jess Shepard might be leading MVP right now. Alicia Gray, no. Caitlin Clark was completely garbage yesterday, so she was even worse than Aja. So we're not putting her above. And I understand, like, if this is we're enough into this season that if we're into the NBA, it's like 20 games. So it kind like we're a quarter way through the season basically, and it matters a little bit. That being said, again, I'm just making this a video to point it out because I know people don't watch the Aces play, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh no, Aja Wilson's the GOAT. She's the MVP." She probably is the GOAT. She probably she's absolutely got the ability to turn things around and win MVP. But this has been the worst season, the worst start to a season Aja has had in a half a decade. And she's been anonymous in a lot of games. Like, I know they beat the Atlanta Dream, but they nearly blew a 20.4 quarter lead where Aja was anonymous. Like, she was anonymous. And last night, I thought Aja was great when they were winning. And that is one of those things that people have always pointed out with Aja, is that look at her stats in losses. Look at her stats in games against good teams. I'm not saying she's a front runner, but like, she's a player that plays better when there's no pressure. I'm not saying she's like a bad player when there is pressure. I'm not saying she's Paige Bueckers. I'm not saying she completely like folds under pressure. I'm saying that it's not uncommon to see an Aja Wilson disappearing act as an opposing team gets back into the game. Albeit, it's also not uncommon to see Aja Wilson, when it matters, hitting big shots. So I'm not going to say she's just completely not clutch, but I'm also going to say it's like, if you're watching every single Aces game and you're watching some of these losses, like there's no way, I've watched every single Aces game. There's no way that if you've watched every Aces game, you think that this is not the worst she's looked to start the year. And again, it's the start of the year. It's early. She could very well win MVP. But she's not. As of right now, I don't know who is. There's no clear-cut MVP. There's actually not. Every MVP candidate has had multiple games where you're like, they were completely not good. Like, you've got Caitlin garbage yesterday, Paige completely garbage against Atlanta, and Paige was garbage against she was at Minnesota. There was a game where she literally just lost it from down the stretch, where she decided, I don't want to look at the basket. Even in Atlanta wasn't a good game, but Paige had a couple of fantastic games. It's just a tough one. It's a tough one all around. But anyway, yeah, see you guys.